The Coneheads have landed on Earth and are here to conquer. But instead, Beldar and Primat settle down to try and adapt to the strange customs of this planet, with often comical consequences. Released in 1993 and starring Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin, as well as a ton of other famous faces showing up here and there, Coneheads is an oddball comedy about an alien family adapting to human suburban life, and is considered by many to be an underappreciated comedy classic. A fun and enjoyable movie that's a product of its time. So today we are going to look into 10 things that you didn't know about Coneheads. Let's check it out because oh boy, things are about to get weird.
Let us suppose for some reason my life function ceased. What would you do?
I would incinerate your carcass in the tradition of Obadiah the Obtuse and put it in a clean, dry place.
Number 10. Coneheads was created all the way back in the 70s. Yes, it goes without saying that Coneheads started life as a Saturday Night Live sketch all the way back in 1977. They were created by Dan Aykroyd, where he got the idea after getting high smoking some of the old wacky tobacco, and based the look of the aliens having elongated heads from the Easter Island statues. He also took inspiration from the 1955 science fiction movie This Island Earth. Just as with the movie, Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin played Father Beldar and Mother Primat. Unlike the movie, Lorraine Newman played the daughter Connie, whereas in the movie the character was played by dazed and confused actress Michelle Burke. The sketches would consist of seeing the bold alien family with cone-shaped heads try and integrate with human society, with all manner of oddball consequences, where despite their odd way of talking and appearance, their neighbours would never catch on to the fact that the Coneheads are indeed extraterrestrials.
Hey, you're a big fella. What do you do for a living?
I am a driving instructor.
Coneheads is being credited as also being created by comedians Lorne Michaels and Tom Davis, both of whom worked on Saturday Night Live. The Coneheads even made their mark on the music world too, as Frank Zappa made a song about the Coneheads, naturally called Coneheads, and Beldar even appeared in the background of the Cyndi Lauper music video Girls Just Wanna Have Fun. Random. Interestingly, the creation of Coneheads actually predates the creation of the Blues Brothers, as the Blues Brothers was created the following year in 1978, despite getting a movie much sooner than the Coneheads. Number 9. Then there was an animated special. In 1983, 10 years before the movie, the Coneheads had already left the world of Saturday Night Live to other medias, with a one-off animated special. The special was produced by Rankin Bass Animation Entertainment, who was the animation company who also gave us Thundercats and Silverhawks. The animation is actually pretty good for its time, if not surreal, especially when we see the planet Remulac. And it even features the voices of Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin.
I am Beldar.
Beldar?
This is my mate, Primat.
Primat?
Correct.
Supposedly, the special was to be a TV pilot for a proposed animated series, but it never caught on, leaving the animated special as a weird one-off anomaly. But nevertheless, something that'll no doubt intrigue fans of the Coneheads. And the Coneheads movie would more or less follow the exact same plot as the animated special, making the special something of a precursor to the movie. Number 8. Coneheads is the third SNL-based movie. Yes indeed, Coneheads is the third movie to be based off a Saturday Night Live sketch. The first was The Blues Brothers, which was released all the way back in 1980 and was hugely successful. The second one didn't come out until 12 years later with Wayne's World, with Coneheads being released the following year. Both Wayne's World and Coneheads were produced by Paramount Pictures as well as NBC Films, and both movies were co-written by husband and wife writing team Bonnie and Terry Turner. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the success of Wayne's World really got the ball rolling for Coneheads production. Coneheads was directed by Irish-British filmmaker Steve Barron, who just a few years earlier directed the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Also, not only is Coneheads a Saturday Night Live based film, but it's full of cameos from SNL members. 16 in fact. These include, but not limited to, Chris Farley, David Spade, Adam Sandler and Jon Lovitz, as well as cameos from other stars like Jason Alexander, Ellen DeGeneres, Michael McKean and Sinbad. And if I didn't mention a particular celebrity who's in the film, please don't get mad. Often some people, not many but some, say things like, well, you didn't mention this actor who's in this film that you're talking about, why do you hate them? If you're one of those people, I don't hate them, just relax, deep breaths. Number 7, one of the writers was unhappy with script changes. An early draft of the Coneheads movie was written by Tom Davis, who also used to write Coneheads sketches for Saturday Night Live. However, he wasn't happy with changes that the studio made to the script, namely having the Remulux scenes take place in a futuristic gladiator-style arena. Davis felt that the Remulux scenes should be more focused on the alien planet's suburban life, as he had originally written in his version of the script.
That is a Garthak? You can really see it from this vantage. These are very good seats, Marty.
Davis wasn't the only one who felt let down by the cinematic venture of the Coneheads, as supposedly the movie's French distributors didn't like certain aspects of the movie, particularly a scene where the family tries to pass themselves off as being French, and there was requests for the scene to be removed, but it ultimately wasn't. Number 6, agony of the Coneheads makeup. Jane Curtin, who played Primat Conehead, has since spoken out about just how uncomfortable wearing the Conehead makeup really was. For a start, they were very heavy to wear on her head, citing that at the time, a lighter latex material hadn't been created. She further stated that she would have to have her head covered in spirit gum and putty in order to get the cone to stay on her head, which then afterwards would be ripped off, leaving her with welts around her head where the cone was stuck on. Ouch. She further added that she would often beg them not to glue the head on and that she wouldn't move so it wouldn't fall off. But nope, she had to go through the unpleasant process of having her alien cone head glued on. But still, good on her and everyone else who had to wear the makeup for soldering on and getting the job done. I wouldn't want super glue ripped around my head. I'll be scared that it might ruin my hair. Okay, that's a joke. Number 5, deleted scenes. There are a variety of deleted scenes that were cut from the final movie, probably for time and pacing reasons. However, the lost scenes over the years have been added back into TV broadcasts of the Coneheads. Now, this isn't a rare practice, as often TV broadcasts of movies will frequently include scenes that weren't in their theatrical cuts, as is the case with movies like Who Framed Roger Rabbit and the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. These scenes include a Remulac restaurant scene, a taxi scene with Drew Carey, a lawnmower scene, as well as an entirely different opening of the movie, where Beldar is instructed to go to Earth and conquer the planet, in a briefing scene which takes place at a Remulux steam house, by a Conehead alien played by Phil Hartman. Sadly though, to the best of my knowledge, these scenes have never had an official release. Come on Paramount, give these scenes the HD treatment so we can finally see them in their true glory. Number 4, action figures. Yeah, about that, there actually was a Conehead action figure lineup that was released to coincide with the release of the movie. But the release of the figures was short-lived, as kids weren't exactly rushing out to buy them, unlike a previous Dan Aykroyd property, Ghostbusters, which had great success down the toy aisles. From my own memory, back in 1993, I didn't know one kid who had a Conehead action figure. Not one. Which is a shame because they actually looked pretty good. They were bright and colourful and had great detail and really captured the characters seen in the movie, as well as the card packaging also standing out with its bright use of yellow. Seriously, look at how 90s this thing looks. The toys were created by Playmates, who were also the company behind the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures, as well as previously making toys for the Dick Tracy movie. So why did the toys not catch on? Well, probably because there was no playsets or vehicles to go with them, but also probably because not many kids went and saw Coneheads at the time of its release. Maybe action figures of these characters just didn't appeal to kids, who knows? But the action figures have become sought after by collectors and fans of the movie. Number 3, comic book series. After the release of the Coneheads movie, Marvel published a comic book series based on Coneheads. And wow, these comics were insane. They were actually my introduction to Coneheads, and I just loved the colours, illustrations, and just how generally freaky deaky they were. Looking back at the comics in hindsight, the illustrations were really impressive and captures the characters' likenesses down perfectly, unlike other comic book movie adaptations where you can tell that they couldn't afford to pay for the actors' likenesses, with them looking completely different, which often felt odd. But nope, not the Coneheads comics. You can clearly tell that's Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin. And I'm pretty sure that's meant to be Chris Farley. The series only lasted for 4 issues, which, just like the action figures, makes the comics a rare and forgotten anomaly. And I think it's a shame that they didn't last longer, as the weird world of Coneheads actually works really well in comic book format. Number 2, Coneheads Love. Coneheads had a cool and hip soundtrack to go with the movie, featuring music by many popular musical artists of that time, such as R.E.M., the Red Hot Chili Peppers, K.D. Lang, and Bare Naked Ladies, in order to make the movie funky and cool and appeal to kids. However, one of the songs that was used to promote the movie was called Conehead Love, and is credited as being performed by Beldar and Primat, aka Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin, proving that not only were the Coneheads funny neighbourhood aliens, but they could also sing too. A music video was even made, which parodies Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA and Robert Palmer music videos. Yeah, only in the 90s could this exist, and only to promote a weird kooky movie like Coneheads could it also exist. As it's definitely more of a novelty song, featuring lines like, "My cone is something serious, transforms you to delirious." Yeah, look, the whole thing is just bizarre, and I love it. I'm glad it exists, so all fans can bear witness to the time the Coneheads tried to break out into the pop music scene. Number 1, Coneheads got trashed on by the critics. Coneheads was released in July 1993 and only opened up in the number 6 spot in the box office, and overall would only go on to make just over $21 million. And as you would imagine, the critics hated this movie. They found it unfunny, uninspired, and that it's just a Saturday Night Live sketch stretched out to make it a feature film, and that it just doesn't work in that format. The New York Times gave it a verbal bitch slap, saying that it's perfect for those who found Wayne's World to be too demanding. At least I think that's a put down. That's a put down, yeah? Over here in Australia, Coneheads had a really quiet release. I don't remember seeing any trailers or anyone talking about it at the time. I was only made aware of the movie's existence when I saw an advert for it in a comic book, and I was like, oh wow, what happened to Dan Aykroyd's head? That looks disturbing. However, as I've said many times in my show, the movie grew more popularity in time. Some people have even suggested that Coneheads has become more relevant in time, as it can be seen as a satire on the struggles and situations that immigrant families face when arriving to new destinations. Ones that they are unfamiliar with, that they struggle to get accustomed to. Wow, who would have thought that Coneheads was actually quite deep this whole time? There is fun to be had when watching Coneheads. I mean, it's not a cinematic masterpiece, but a time capsule of the early 90s, and it does have some genuinely funny moments. And you can see the actors are fully invested in their parts and giving it their all, particularly Dan Aykroyd, Jane Curtin, and Michelle Burke. So if you want to go on a trip down memory lane and bear witness to an oddball wacky comedy from the 90s, well, luckily the Coneheads movie is here to bring joy to all people of Earth and Remulak. Personally, I think Coneheads works better as comedy sketches, as when it comes to a movie, the joke of being aliens who have cone-shaped heads and metallic voices can only go so far. But that said, I'm glad the movie exists. It's just one of those movies that has become part of the pop cultural landscape to many 90s kids. So if you want a kooky comedy about aliens blending into society, then watch Coneheads. Anyway, I'm Minty, and never forget the beautiful poetry of the Coneheads pop song, which gave us beautiful words of wisdom like, "My cone is something serious, transforms you to delirious." Just gets me every time. See ya!